Howdy folks, my name's Ben, and I just started a project called Geek Books, which is of course the name of this channel, but that channel's only going to be one facet of the whole project. The goal is to become a scooter adventurer, and to fuel those adventures, fund them with books. Right now, the biggest part is books. You might be able to tell, looking at my surroundings. I like books. I like books a lot. I like scooters just as much, but as this is getting off the ground, probably dealing with books a lot more than scooters initially. Summer before my senior year of college, I became a partner in a collective bookstore in Olympia, Washington that a few of my friends had opened a couple years prior, called Last Word Books. Shout out to Rob, still holding down the fort, keeping the faith alive, and also expanding it into Last Word Press. Also shout out to Earthlight Books in Walla Walla, really kind of the spiritual godparent to Last Word. That was a really special time in my life. I've got a lot of great memories from Last Word. It was also around the time I met my later-to-be wife. And about 18 years ago, I ceased to be a part of Last Word. We moved from Washington to Connecticut because Jess wanted to be closer to her parents to start raising a family. So, and like a year, less than a year after we moved, we had our first kid. So I've been working, more real jobs. Luckily, for the past 13 years, I've been out of retail, working in the tech industry at a decent wage. So yeah, I mean, sorry, I'm halfway going off a script here and halfway not. Yeah, the bookstore changed my life. Changed how I look at a lot of things, in ways it taught me how to be free in kind of economic and psychological ways I hadn't considered before. And some of those lessons are still sinking in. So, yeah, always loved books. As a kid, I was too poor to own many books. Raised by a single mom, but she always she instilled a love of books in me. Getting a library card was a rite of passage. We didn't have many books, but we had some. Always had some around the house. And so the books I did have, I got from thrift stores and garage sales mostly, which is still the case. But I was always a regular at the local library and school libraries. That being said, I haven't had a library card since I moved away from Washington. I moved a lot of books out here, and my book scouting hasn't really ceased. A couple months ago, I had to pick up my oldest daughter at the local library. She was studying with some friends because she's good like that. And when she came out of the car, she asked me if she could borrow my library card because she forgot hers and she found something she wanted to check out. And I told her, I don't need a library card. I own a library. And I thought it was funny at the time. And now I think it was a little bit of a red flag, but sorry about that. So yeah, so As a kid, the concept of like having a family library was very aspirational to me. We usually have like one, 2 foot by 5 foot bookcase that would be about half full, and we moved a lot. And every time we moved, we probably got rid of half those books. And we had a lot of mass market sci-fi and fantasy. Anything that wasn't worth another reread, you trade into the used bookstore, get something new to us to read. So as a younger parent, I wasn't real young when I had my kids. A family library felt like a really good goal. I could build a knowledge account for my kids. I mean, the internet's always there, but there's something different about having a tangible version. So I did that. I've always had a pretty decent amount of books just right at hand for the kids, which they never exploited to my satisfaction. My bubble was really bursted last school year. My youngest, who was a freshman in high school, came home with a copy of the complete short stories of Ray Bradbury. I've got it on the table in the living room. And I was half joking, half serious at the time. I went up to her and I'm like, "Am I a joke to you? Am I a joke to you?" Because of course this is in the family library. The funny thing is, she was looking for particular short stories. She was looking for the Velt, and the complete collection in the school library was not actually complete and did not have that short story. So she ended up using the family tome anyhow. Yeah, so that really brought home that the kids did not see the library the way I did. I thought I was low-key building an inheritance. Really, I've just been hoarding and building a speed bump in the grieving process for them and my wife. When the time comes, they won't get anything near what these are worth. Somebody like me or Johnny Depp's character in The Ninth Gate will sweep in and buy the best stuff for stray hair for pennies on the dollar, and the rest of it go to the landfill. That's just how it works. So now I'm thinking, I've got one kid's a senior and applying to colleges. The other kid's a sophomore, will be soon. My wife and I are good parents, and we try to do the best by our kids, but we unfortunately have not got any real college savings for them. I didn't pay for my parents didn't pay for my college. My mom didn't pay for my college. Jess's parents did pay for hers, but we're both smart. We figured they'd be smart, and hopefully they'd make smart choices, and hopefully get some scholarships. The other thing is the last few years my wife's going to nursing school. She's just started working as a nurse, and that has been a big change to our income. So we're probably going to be SOL when it comes to financial aid. So yeah, now I look at the family library not as a knowledge asset, but as a financial asset. And how do I best liquidate that financial asset? Because if it's going to get sold to the highest bidder, I at least want to be the auctioneer. Yeah. But beyond greed or financial necessity, there are other opportunities here. I've experienced books, I have knowledge of the market. This backlog of inventory is a hell of a place to start. And as this clears out, I get to buy more. I'm going to do Amazon FBA a lot. I know Amazon's the devil, but I can ship books to them, and they handle the shipping and storage and all that, which means I clear out shelves, which means my wife is happy. And when my wife's happy, I'm happy. And I can't think of a better way to spend my golden years than scooting around New England, and further afield, cherry picking books, thrift stores, and garage sales. That's a good Saturday for me. I could see it being a good 3 or 4 days a week for me. So one of my other goals that's related to the blog or to the vlog and the larger project, Scooter Geek Books, is to do the 2027 Scooter Cannonball Run. I'll probably do another video at some point describing what the Cannonball Run is, but it's a Cannonball Run. They go from coast to coast on scooters. I think they recently raised the limit to 300 cc. But yeah, small bikes. I first heard about this in 2006, back when I was still at the bookstore. I actually was riding scooters a lot, and I had a scooter blog at that time. And it was definitely something I wanted to do, just didn't seem attainable. And then once I had kids, I just kind of forgot about it because it was absolutely not on the table those early years. But yeah, this past winter I went through kind of a diving down a scooter rabbit hole and was reminded of the Cannonball, and now it's doable. I think I'm gonna do it. I got 2 years to plan. Well, it's a little less, but and even this channel kind of came out of that rediscovery of the Cannonball, because as I went down that rabbit hole, I found lots of YouTube channels of cannonballers. There's been a couple documentaries out there about it over the years. Third one just came out this year. But most of the content is YouTube channels. And that was watching, getting that itch to Cannonball kind of opens up the gates of creativity, and I start seeing it like, maybe the YouTube channel would be cool to do. And the thoughts passed my mind before on other topics, but the Cannonball was the first time I started looking at cameras and how they integrate with the communication systems in your helmet, yada yada yada. Begin to think about it seriously. But there's a lot of challenges, things I got to get past to make that happen. And before I even thought of, part of the process of coming to let's sell these books was, I started making a list of all the stuff that's got to get done before I buy a new scooter and start training. The first thing on that list was organize the basement. It's just where my office is. Yeah, and a lot of the things like organize the basement are due to me kind of being in a rut. I was getting into the rut prior to COVID. COVID didn't help. I hadn't had the motivation to do anything creative or productive, constructive outside of my 9 to 5. So this is sorry, going back to my script here. I've been in bad headspaces before. Everybody has as Foxy Shazam says, some bad effing years. But nothing that just blocked my creativity, made me emotionally numb, physically inactive, and not want to do anything but doom scroll myself into unconsciousness. And that's like really where I've been for at least 5 years. So that's how we're starting, getting out of this rut. And hopefully, sooner rather than later, there'll be some actual adventures, scooter adventures to document, and some cool projects. But we're going to start pretty simple and humble. I'm going to start by documenting, getting out of the rut, and working towards these funner goals. Luckily, my family's behind me. When I first brought up to them the idea of doing Scooter Cannonball, my wife did not shoot me down immediately. She thought that running a support vehicle sounded interesting. I like, a little adventure, which is why I love her. And my eldest daughter was even more enthusiastic. She's got her driver's license. She'll be in between her freshman and in between freshman and sophomore year of college. And she wants to also drive the sport vehicle, and I think maybe do some drone footage. So that's cool. So part of the rut, as I said before, is you see it. There's some organization to these books, and there's some not. There's some piles of, there's actually cardboard boxes I'm filling up to send books out right now. You don't see there's some just hoarders piles of junk. I've been struggling to get this space organized for more than 5 years. Just being in the rut has just made it worse. And it's always been overwhelming to think about. This is an unfinished basement that we backwardsly semi-finished just by throwing up some IKEA Kallax bookshelves. I'm embarrassed to say how many and what percentage of them is double-sided books. But this space it's been we've got a futon in here. The kids have used it for sleepovers. There's the DVD player and a bunch of DVDs, and in just my office, sanctum sanctorum space. I mean, it's been an art studio, an armor building workshop, sewing room, music practice space. And I always thought it always had to be to be one of those things. It had to be basically torn down and rearranged, and able to go from art studio to music practice space. Move easel, move all the paints, bring in the amp, bring in the bass. I want to find a way that it's just a creative space. You can work on a vlog if I want to. Suddenly feel like I need to, be playing Papa Was a Rolling Stone, and swish around and turn on the amp. It was overwhelming. But since I've started this project, I've got more motivation. I'm getting more done, and I see tangible results. I mean, it's like, oh, I'm not just getting rid of books, but these books are actually going to feed me some money, and then I can roll that into yada yada yada. But yeah, so obviously it's an ongoing project. You're not catching it at the very beginning, but pretty close. So yeah. So with all that said, with all these books, Scooter Geek, what are you actually reading? So I guess to close this out, I'll go through my current reading stack in the office. And number one with the bullet is I See by My Outfit by Peter S. Beagle, who, if you know him, you probably know him as the author of The Last Unicorn. This was published in 1965. This is first edition, first printing, that I bought in January when I was getting re-obsessed with scooters. I first learned about it back in the mid 2000s when I was running a scooter blog and working at the bookstore, and I never went out of my way to buy one, because that's not how my mind works most of the time. I just knew it existed, and I was keeping my eye out for it. But I have never seen one of these in the wild. If you're familiar with this Last Unicorn, especially the movie, the scene where Molly McGrew first meets the unicorn. It's one of those. I didn't understand it really when I saw it. I saw the movie when it came out, 12 or 13. The older I get, the more meaning that scene has, and there's a hint of that in my relationship to this book. Why didn't I find it in my teens? What would my life been like if I had read I See by My Outfit the same time I read Dharma Bums and On the Road, why didn't I find it in my 20s, my mid-20s, when I got my first scooter, a Yamaha Riva 125, and my world just opened up. And if I had this on top of that, it would have just, yeah. It's amazing. I like road trips. I like adventures. I'm pathological about wanting to do the Cannonball Run. Doing a coast-to-coast trip on scooters. 61 years ago, 2 beatniks on 175cc Hinkle tourists which are beautiful, beautiful scooters. I'm enough of a scooter geek to have been familiar with them before reading this. But yeah, it's a delight. Also an example of how my wife's been a bad influence on me. She's a stasher in many, many ways, but she stashes media. If she's reading a series of books and she owns books 1, 2, and 3, she won't read book 3 until book 4 is published. Like, she just has to know there's a little bit more. She has still not forgiven me for when we watched Northern Exposure. I didn't warn her that we were watching the last episode. So suddenly there was just no more. And she had no warning. She still brings it up. But with this book, she's rubbing off on me because I've been reading it for months. I have 13 pages left. The last 50 pages have taken me like 3 months. I probably won't finish this book until the end of the year because I don't want it to end, and I'm just savoring every bite. So, around the end of the year, maybe I'll do a full review. So that's the top of the pack. Next is Aaron Cometbus's Bestiary Booksellers. If you're not familiar with Cometbus, old school zine, what is it? At least 40 years old, 40 years publishing. I mean, not super often, because this is issue 56. This is nonfiction Eric Cometbus talking about being a book scout and used bookseller in New York, which I did not. I just rare case of a new book I bought. I just heard of it this year and ordered one from Microcosm because they are awesome and Cometbus is awesome. Man, this is a delight. It's all inside jokes for the old school style of bookseller. If you've seen Black Books, I think if you like Black Books, I think you'll like this. If you like Cometbus, you'll probably like this. But if you're not familiar with Cometbus and you like Black Books, pick up Bestiary Booksellers. It's a fun little read. It's short, a little over 100 pages. It's good stuff. Next on the list, I haven't cracked this yet. I think it's been on the family library for a year or two, maybe. But yeah, Motorcycle Journeys Through New England. That's probably one I'll be referring to for a while. Haven't dove into it yet much, so I don't have much more to say. But it's in the right at hand stack of to be reads. The rest of this stack, it's short. We got 3 more. Are not going to be that exciting. We've got the Vest Pocket CPA, which is not a book that was in the family library long. Not something I would normally grab. But in the last month, I've been crossing I's and dotting T's on setting up a legitimate business for my book selling. I have an LLC, yada all that stuff. So have a business banking account. Taxes are only going to get more complex for us as we get more income streams and bigger income streams. So I'm not going to take this to bed to read it, but it's going to probably be worthwhile to hang on to and have nearby. Same songs, second verse, might be better, probably be worse. Secrets of Tax-Free Life. I ain't trying to get a tax-free life. I fully want to pay my fair share, but I also want to be able to pay for my kids' college. And then, I don't know. Came across this the other day. I'd never heard of it. Got it at the thrift store. Limitless. How to ignore everybody, carve your own path, and live your best life. Kind of the vibe I'm looking for right now. We'll see. It's a short book. I don't know. Sometimes it's cheesy self-help books, or I don't know. They call them self-help books anymore. Probably not. But that kind of book. Sometimes one's just like, even if it's stuff you already know, it's just nice to be reminded. You gives you a little bit of a brighter outlook on stuff. We'll see. I mean, who knows? All right. Well, that's it for today. Thanks, YouTube, for watching. I hope to have more exciting videos in the future. And yeah, peace.